Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2. I am Jorge Alguera. I am the University Assistant Director to the CUNY Black Male Initiative, and I am privileged to bring you the first panel of day 2. Day 2 is just full of information from direct sources. Who are the direct sources? The students and our CUNY BMI directors. First off, we have Dr. Rodriguez, who is not only the director of the Men's Resource Center at Kingsborough, but he is part of the conference planning committee. So he's been along the ride with us. He's seen everything, and now he's here to help us have everything come to fruition. Today's number one panel is the student perspective on being educated during in a COVID-19 world. And I know, and as you will hear, that the change was abrupt and the change was fast and furious, to borrow a title of a certain movie, but they will give you their particular insights and their experience. So I'm going to sit back, enjoy, and I let you, Dr. Rod, take over. And I'm just happy you're here and ready to hear from you all.
Thank you, Jorge. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I am excited to be here. I have some wonderful panelists with me. As you know, I'm the director of Kingsborough's Men's Resource Center. But I want to take a moment and allow our panelists, the real stars of this panel, to introduce themselves. So I'm going to ask Rudy, then Moise, then Moses, then Lena, then Brandon to go ahead and introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your major, your status. Rudy.
Hi everyone, my name is Rudy. Actually, you can call me Rudy, but it's Rudolph Moretov. It's really hard to say my first name, hard to say my last name. It's not go hand to hand together. That's why I'm keeping short and sweet. Rudy, I'm working in a Kingsborough Community College as an admission advisor. I graduated Kingsborough in 2015. I started Kingsborough in 2012. Then I graduated from John Jay. Currently, I'm in a master's degree program at Brooklyn College, Industrial Organizational Psychology. I started Kingsborough without reading, writing, or speaking English, without any of the skills. I I kind of progressed in the sense of that my peers and my advisors, like Dr. Ross, helped me a lot to understand my leadership skill set and progress in that sense. I graduated one school, another school. Now I'm helping my peers to enroll in the college or just to give information to help them to progress in their dreams in terms of academic success. Thank you.
All right, and my name is Moises Concha. I am Hispanic, but you can call me Moses. It's fine. I don't mind. I am currently a student in Kingsborough. I am in my last semester. I did begin my academic journey at Kingsborough at the very start of the pandemic. So yeah, as soon as I started, that's when the pandemic started to hit. I think it was like last year, toward in the spring, March early. So yeah, currently my major is accounting, and my plan is to transfer also to Brooklyn College, and continue there on my journey to CPA.
Hi, I'm Lena. I am a sophomore at Baruch College right now. I am from Brooklyn, New York, specifically Flatbush. I consider myself Caribbean American. My family's from Haiti. I'm the oldest of three siblings, the oldest being 15, the youngest being 1, so he's a COVID baby. Um, my major is digital marketing. I have plans to be a social media manager for influencers, YouTubers, Instagram stars, TikTokers, all of those people. And I am the marketing chair for CUNY BSU, so make sure you follow our Instagram.
Let us know what CUNY BSU stands for.
CUNY BSU is the Black Student Union of CUNY, so it just connects all the Black student unions around, the CUNY institution, just so we can bounce ideas off of each other, collaborate. If one is struggling with something, we can help out or connect them, connect events, things like that.
Thank you, Brandon.
Oh, hey everyone, my name is Brendan Alvarez. I'm a sophomore at Kingsborough, and I'm working on my associates. Um, had business administration. Like Moses started going to college at Kingsborough at the start of the pandemic, so I wasn't there for that long. But for the 1 or 2 weeks I was there, I really enjoyed being on campus.
Thank you, thank you, and it's I'm really glad that most of you had some experience with Kingsborough pre or your college pre pandemic, because I think for this discussion to really be full, I think before we deal with the now or the what next, we got to deal with the then. What happened then? So I'm going to ask Moise to first talk about what was that like? What was that transition like? And then maybe we can hear from Brandon, then Lena, then Rudy to really talk us through. Tell us that experience.
Right. So I want to start off by saying that I did get to experience the campus, and at first and at the start, I was in school for like about 2 weeks in physical classes before the pandemic actually hit. And I do remember that I enjoyed the campus experience. That's the whole reason why I chose Kingsborough in the first place, because I looked up online, I looked at community colleges, and I saw this beautiful campus by the beach, with water, and I was like, I totally want to go this, and it was great, while I was doing it. The transition from that to like, okay, suddenly finding out, all right, well, we may be out of class for a week or two, and then the next thing you know, you find out that it's more than that and longer than that. I gotta say, it was at first a little bit difficult because you're used to in-person classes, being surrounded by students and being right there able to interact with the professor. And I think what was most challenging at the start of the transition period was how everyone was trying to figure it out, not just on our side, but even on the professor's side, because they also had to kind of like get up to speed with how to transition their teaching to online only status. So at the beginning, that's what I feel was the greatest challenge, transitioning from that learning in person to now just learning through a computer. And sometimes it wasn't in the beginning. It wasn't always set up with live video interaction, because the professors still needed to learn how to do that. Some of them, they need to learn how to use Zoom or use Blackboard Collaborate. So at the beginning, it was maybe recorded lectures, or just certain assignments that weren't like the same as interacting with a professor in person. So yeah, that to me was the greatest challenge transitioning in the beginning, is and what I found was presented the greatest hurdle to overcome. So yeah.
Yes, so I actually did not experience campus before the pandemic, but I will say that I did my research on the school, and why I picked it was I like the vibrancy of the city. It just seemed like everybody, just walking around getting lunch. The building looked so vibrant. It was a lot of people. And I think when the pandemic started, I, it kind of felt lonely. Like it just felt like I didn't know what I was doing. It felt like I wasn't getting any help, but at the end of the day, I knew a lot of people were struggling as well, like, staff wise. But it just felt really lonely. It felt like I didn't really know the school. I wasn't getting a grasp of the school. It was more so like I'm just taking some classes online, and we'll figure out if something changes in the future.
Lena, I have a question. Are you taking in-person classes now?
Yes, I am.
Does it feel any different?
I would say it does feel different. It's weird because I signed up for majority in-person classes, but I think teachers were able to change their modality. So I only have 2 in-person classes now,
Oh, okay.
and I have to do online classes on campus in order for it to work with my schedule. But it does feel different. It feels better to be around people. Even online classes, I can meet somebody, we could take the online class together. It it gets me in a school mindset. I think in the pandemic, I was in a funk, and I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, I'm not learning anything. And I think just being in the building really helps.
I definitely agree with you on that. That being on campus puts you in a different mentality. That's like one of the biggest things I was missing during online classes.
Rudy, you want to share with us your experience?
So, like, yeah, there was a really when I mean, so with the bachelor degree, I had the in philosophy, and my classes was a highly interactive with students and professor, where like a dynamic was the highest level. We would talk and we share ideas about these theories, whatever. And now, when in a Zoom, when I my expectations in the graduate program will be the same, maybe the more higher. So when we started in a Zoom meetings, like a 95% of my classmates not even showing their faces, which is well, sometimes was a me and my professor who's like a really interacting with each other. And other students have to either not participating or even not doing, just writing the notes or chatting. Oh, so that the challenge was that before I had the chance to speak with my peers, but now I don't have that anymore. Now, now with the professor, as well, I felt that alienated in the process of the education because I was teaching myself in some sort. And I'm in a new program and I'm in a new environment and the new pandemic and everything's kind of collapse all the hopes and plans I had, all these ideas, all this, like I was like planning to do this, do that, and pandemic hit me in a phase like a, I don't know, like a, I don't know. It was a painful. It was a very painful. That was a first semester. Second semester, my father-in-law passed away, and I need to be in my fiance's life, but then we find out that she has a COVID. I couldn't interact with her. Now I'm taking classes. I'm with her. I cannot be with her. So that was a very, very, um, I mean, very, very horrible experience. Anyway, to just put that way, horrible experience. But in a progress of education, I think that which helped me a lot was my to build what I had from the Kingsborough, then John Jay, the building up this skill set of as a student helped me a lot to progress. As a leader, I knew that I signed a responsibility. I have a responsibility towards my classes, and I need to finish them, and which I did. Which, and that was a really, really, really unique experience because I felt that after first semester, I felt that relief, but then I know that I have to continue this more and more to finish overall the graduate program. But yeah, that was my experience from the first semester. But now I'm more or less used to it.
There's a
If I
couple
could,
of. Go ahead.
if I could add to what he was saying, it actually did bring back some memories of how it was in the beginning. There were some teachers who were more at first adamant about, okay, guys, can we turn our cameras on, please? Because it is like the majority were like cameras off, okay? Or sometimes they would leave their audio on and you would hear like something else playing in the background, while the class is going on. I think it definitely alienated a lot of people, for sure. And at that time, I was working in a men's resource center with another student as a peer mentor. Now, I remember one of the biggest things he told me was like the biggest challenge for him was he needed to get out of his room to do work and out of his house. Okay, and now he was being told to stay there. Okay, and do work, and he found that difficult. He couldn't. He had a hard time transitioning from being used to going to school and sit at the library or sit somewhere where he could work to now in his own room where he's used to chilling and just relaxing. And I think for a lot of us that is a challenge that we faced. And I remember that in the beginning, that also was one of the biggest things I had to learn was like, okay, well, I wake up out of bed and now I need to get into work mode, even though I'm still in my room or in my house. And yeah, I mean it's true what he was saying. It was a very alienating experience, and a lot of, and even now, even today in classes, a lot of cameras are off. Okay, that's not something that has really improved much. A lot of students are, and I think even it's like a policy that you can't force them to turn it on. I think I heard. So with that in mind, yeah, students just choose not to turn it on. So,
You know, I'm hearing this word alienation, right? And it's been echoed throughout the pandemic that this is something students are feeling, have felt, and some of them are still feeling. One of the things we know as academics is creating a sense of belonging is important. That's why programs like BMI work so well, because in addition to the academic support, we provide that social emotional sense of community that's so important. So this first semester starts, you're struggling. Let's say you're struggling through your second semester, that fall, and then that spring rolls around. I just want to toss it out there, maybe to Brandon, and then Lena. Has that sense of community or that alienation, has the sense of community increased, or has the sense of alienation decreased? And if so, how? And if not, why do you think why not?
Are you talking about during the pandemic, fall and spring? It
Yes.
totally fell through. There was no sense of belonging, no sense of community. It was just pure isolation. It almost felt robotic in a sense, going to classes, sleeping, waking up, doing work, going to classes, just felt like a cycle every day, in and out, in and out. I've been in college for 2 years now. I've been in college Staten Island, and then I transferred to Kingsborough. Uh, Not to say anything bad about Kingsborough because it wasn't their fault, but this is the worst college experience I've had so far that entire year. It feels like one big mark on my entire college experience. And I hope I never encounter anything like it again, I guess.
Yeah, you touched on something before I had Lena talk. I think many people would echo inside higher education and outside of higher education that, you know, this pandemic has been a mark on us that many of us will never forget, will live with the rest of our lives.
That's true, but I feel like the only thing we can do now is keep moving forward. Uh, it really does make me sad saying that it's a mark on my life because I saw it mark my mom's life, my brother's life. He was in third grade and it was so rough on him. I don't want to say it brings me to tears, but it's heartbreaking seeing how rough it was on him.
well,
Wow, thank you for sharing. Lena.
if I could present another perspective just real quick before Lena goes, in the beginning it was difficult, but I will give credit to the professors at Kingsborough because they definitely picked up pace really fast. Okay, in the fall semester for me, I found a greater improvement in the interaction through Blackboard and overall setup of how the classes were set up. And personally, I learned to see the positive during that time. I know that there's a lot of negativity that we could definitely speak about regarding this experience, and it definitely is a mark on all of us. But I know that there's definitely there was a level of opportunity that I found during this period that maybe we could get into later on. But I just wanted to just bring that part up. That there is another perspective to that. To
Sure,
this
I'd
whole
love to say
pandemic
something
situation.
after Lena goes about that.
Sure. Go ahead, Lena.
Um, I think it takes a really strong and determined person to get through this. Um, there were days where I was okay and there were days where I was not okay at all and nobody would understand. With the pandemic, I feel like it's such a personal thing to everybody. I feel like no one has the same story about it. For me, it was just like my life just changed so rapidly. The course I thought my life was going on changed so rapidly. I actually did not live at home when I started college, so I had to move back home. There wasn't really a space set out for me. And then my brother was born, and then we were all online. My mom's a teacher. Two other kids have to do online school. The baby's in the house because daycare is closed, and I have to do school as well. And I don't, and I also just did not know what this meant for like career wise. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought that going to college in person would have helped me do that, but that was closed down. I didn't know when I'd be able to start, internships or anything. Um, so I think that sense of community was like really lost because I just felt like there was nobody holding me up. I will say to get out of that mindset, to get out of that funk, I did, and I'm not saying this because this is just the event. I really do appreciate the BMI events that were at my school. Like that was really the only thing keeping me sane because I felt like somebody was there. If I had questions, they were there. If I needed some encouragement, they were there. Just, but it also takes a lot of push to force yourself to go to these events because nobody's forcing you to go. Um, you have to open up your laptop, and it's so easy to just close your laptop and go to bed and not want to do it. I had to really push myself to be interactive with these programs, and I think they really did help me. But yeah, that was really the only one sense of community I had throughout the whole pandemic.
Thank you. Brandon, did you want to share something?
Oh yeah, about what Moses said, how he said that teachers picked up the slack. That's true, they did, but I don't remember what exactly he said. He said something about like the way we were learning or something like that. And I had something to say in direct opposition because after the first semester during quarantine, they introduced asynchronous classes, and I couldn't handle them. Like, I just gave up, honestly. The first semester was bad, but not intolerable. I couldn't handle asynchronous classes, and almost every single class I took was asynchronous. Lena said like it takes a strong individual to get through the year, right? Like I guess I'm not because I couldn't get through it.
But you got through it, right?
No, no, I'm repeating my sophomore year now. I don't know if that counts as getting through it. It doesn't feel like it.
I mean, you didn't give up. You're still here.
Exactly.
Right, you're still in the fight. You're still there.
I guess. Thank you.
Exactly. And I think that's to a point where many of us had to get to, right? Our self-determination had to kick in and say, regardless of what has happened, what is happening, in terms of education, this is important to me.
Yeah.
And it's important enough for me to fight and to go through the trials and go through the tribulations and figure it out, right? And it is hard, and it was hard, and it may still be hard, right? Because we're still not out of this yet. But I want to talk about now looking towards the future. So our fall semester has started. Hybrid classes are being offered. Some of you may be on campus, some of you may not be on campus, but there is an option now to do that. What are your thoughts now moving forward? What are your expectations for this fall and perhaps spring in terms of getting education now that slowly we're starting to kind of move out of the in-person, out of the remote into the in-person? I'd love to hear from Rudy first, and then whoever would like to jump in.
So I think that I don't know who said that, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. I think that really works well for right now for me. I'm preparing for worst, whatever is coming, but I'm still hoping for the best. I'm taking one class in person, and one class in online in a Zoom meeting, and another class is asynchronous, like a fully blackboard, and you have to just interact with the student. So I have all the three levels of experience in a college student, which you should get. After 1 year in a Zoom meetings, going back to the in-person, it felt that, again, so strange. People do not want to talk. My classmates, we just sit in a silence, maybe half hour, and professor was like only one who was speaking. But then when professor even start asking questions, nobody want to really answer any of the questions. So, but then we're after like what, four weeks of the class. Right now, we just started to get used to it back for the interaction with each other and participation in a class. So that's my kind of my $2 what I'm taking from this semester. However, I want to go to back to the Brandon when you said it was difficult and you give up, right? It's the education in institutions is not in the classrooms only, but in what you're getting in the process of the learning. So you learn something, right? You get the knowledge. Okay, you not maybe get through the classes, but you learn how. I mean, my first semester at Kingsborough, when I started, I did disaster. I mean, I did so horribly. Some people even told me like, "Hey, listen, maybe education not for you. Just to give." Yeah, I mean, my friends, my family members, they say maybe it's not for you, but I still want to. And that was in person experience, and still I had to really jump because I could have speak English, I could have write, and I could have even understand what the professor asking me. And then I need to understand what I'm trying to explain to professor, and I'm not sure if I will understand what professor will be giving the response. So I was like, oh my God, I'm in trouble. So I learned how to navigate myself after the failing every classes that I took in the first semester. It was a horribly disaster, but I learned from my failure more, and actually that I'm learning from my A classes where I'm getting A's. So, and that's what my experience was there. So I will not, so don't be discouraged. You have experience, which is gold experience. You can use it as a fuel for your future path of the education. So that's my share with you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Don't be discouraged.
You mentioned you're a grad student, right?
Yes.
That's like so inspiring that you said like you came into college, you didn't know how to speak English or how to read it, right? And look at you now, you're a grad student, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, because I never give up.
Oh.
That's my only thing I have. I was like, I might be not the smartest person in the room. I might be not skillful person with the reading and writing, but I'm the most willing student to take all the chances and get through it, whatever it comes through. So that until you're not giving up, until you are there, you're staying on your 2 feet and you keep moving, believe me, there is a final end. There's a final end. So I've taken a little bit step back. This summer time, right? I was in a ROTC program in the summer boot camp. So it's not only I'm taking classes, I'm also in a summer boot camp, 1 month training. So, and in the time of the training, I saw one of the brilliant peers I had, strongest, smartest, the best in the shooting, the best in the running, best in the skill set, the best of the best, right? And they was giving up. Versus to the students who was like, I don't know, like I had the one student, Emma from Puerto Rico, barely spoke English, 5'5", but she was one of the toughest leaders we had in platoon. And she didn't give up. She walked through the entire process. And I was like, wow, this girl is like tough and she's really, really strong individual. So maybe you don't have some other thing, but until you're standing, and this is my personal belief, until you keep going, believe me, there is a final, there is a line you will cross and you.
And just to continue on with answering the outlook towards the future and what I think this whole experience has taught me overall. Honestly, before I mentioned how I learned to see like the positive in this whole situation, and I'm not gonna deny there is a level of convenience that comes with online classes. Okay, that's something that I have learned to see. Okay, there is a level of convenience that I learned to appreciate. And I read online how some corporations were considering maybe doing hybrid weekdays and stuff like that, and possibly having employees work both from in person and home at the same time and the alternate days. I don't know. maybe this pandemic has taught us all something that we never knew before about how we could learn through different methods and different, processes and stuff like that. Personally, uh, I've come to appreciate both the online experience and the in-person experience. Okay, I love being able to go on campus and interact with students, and I love also to have. In Brandon's case, the asynchronous destroyed him. Okay, and I get that. In my case, it actually empowered me. Okay, because I was able to decide what assignments to do, how much to do, and when to do them. It gave me flexibility. Okay, I had both synchronous and asynchronous every semester thus far. I've had both types of online learning experiences, and I appreciate both. Being able to log into Collaborate or Zoom and have the online class in person, through the camera helps a lot, and also being able to choose when to do my assignments at my own pace helps a lot as well. Now, the only thing I could say is, well, I'm paying the same tuition fee either way, and that's the only thing that makes me feel a certain way about it. But other than that, I'm being honest, okay. Other than that, the experience has been flexible for me. Now, in my case, I'm a techie. I've always been great with computers. I've always been great with technology. So transitioning to technology mode was a little easier on me than maybe for others. Who may have dealt harder with computer, or maybe didn't have the equipment available to use. I know that some students needed laptops. They needed to go to the campus to get laptops and stuff. I had a laptop available on my end, so that helped out a lot. But overall, my experience was different. At one point, I did consider also kind of like taking a break, because I didn't mention this earlier, but I actually dealt with a COVID strain myself, and my family in person. We dealt with it here, and I even went to the hospital, and they even put it on my thing that, oh, I went in and I got, and it was detected on me, so I had to be quarantined in my house, and I felt sick. I felt the symptoms. I had to take medicine, and I overcame that. So I mean, and like Lena said earlier, people have different strengths. People have different levels of resistance to things, and in my case, because I was I was able to adapt. you know, it helped me to transition into this mode of learning a lot more easier than others. That student I mentioned earlier, they ended up taking a break too. That I was working with as a peer mentor, they couldn't do it. Even though I tried to tell them, listen, you can do this. Just take the time separate. I tried to help them out, give them tips based on what I learned, but they couldn't. They couldn't do it. They it was just too much for them. So I completely understand Brandon's point of view, and I agree that that does exist, and it is a reality. In my case, though, I was able to transition into that mode, and I did see the benefits of both sides of the coin. I don't want to present it all as negative, because there is positives to this online learning as well. So yeah, just wanted to. So in the future wise, I mean, I wouldn't be completely opposed to hybrid somewhat. Maybe the option possibly of like being able to choose maybe one class. I don't always have to go in person. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe this will change CUNY forever. Who knows? We'll see. But
Maybe.
yeah, I just I just wanted to just put that out there.
No, thank you. Go ahead, Brandon.
No, I just said maybe. That's a
Yeah, and that's part of the discussion, right? When we look towards the future, not only as individuals, we have to think about what's next, how are we going to navigate, but also as an institution, I think CUNY has to take a look at what worked, what didn't work, what should they keep, what should they not keep. After 17 months of remote learning, there were some lessons there. And I think as a university, there's some lessons we can take away to really enhance education moving forward. I'd love to hear maybe from you, Lena, some of your thoughts on when we look towards the future in education, what would you like to see in terms of how education should look? Well, he said a great job of talking from his perspective, but maybe now you can share, and maybe Rudy can also share your perspective of how would you like education to look moving forward.
I would say I think that education should come with a lot more acknowledgement of, doing well and just acknowledgement of students in general. So if you're not doing so well, you're not just left there with no check-in. And if you're doing well, not saying that I or anybody else does things for praise, but it would be nice to, when I'm up crying at 10:59 because I'm trying to get through this assignment and turn it in, it would be nice if my professor emailed me and was like, good job, like you did that, just acknowledgement of students. Or if somebody you notice they're lacking, they're not really getting in their assignments, like, are you okay? A check-in would be nice. I think that just acknowledgement of students would be nice in general. Acknowledgement of feelings, acknowledgement of mental health, um, everything, just an overall thing. I don't think it should just be giving assignments, giving this, that, and the third. I've had some pretty rough professors. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and they said any late assignments, illness or not, you get 20% off your grade off the bat. And it's just like people are on ventilators, people are losing people once a week. Like, so just compassion, community. I think we need to see more of that. Not too much to the point where, you could get away with anything. I do believe in tough love too. So, if you need to just acknowledgement, that's what
I want to jump in real quick because I want us to kind of break that down a little more. As a student affairs professional, that means, we are all, some people say we're very touchy feely, right? I mean, if you were in the room, I'd give you a high five or a hug or something, say, no, Lena, you got this, you're going to be okay, right? So I want to break that down a little bit because a lot of universities, every university has a student affairs department, and additionally, they also have a counseling center, right? Let's break that down a little bit, because what I'm wondering is, what direction are you looking for what I would call validation, right? Or affirmation? Because there are a lot of programs that are there to validate and affirm. So I'm just curious, Lena, what direction are you looking from that to get that validation from?
I think that when you're in a large institution, and in large classes, I specifically said professors and staff in general, because I feel like that's who I'm working for. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's so easy to feel like you're pumping out all this for this class and you're pumping out all this for the school and you're not getting anything back for them. I will say the smaller communities that you find on campus, you will absolutely get the help you need from them. But at the end of the day, that's not who you have to deal with at the end of the day when you have a late assignment. Like, all they can do is like give you a hug and push you through. So compassion from those people that have like more power, and who you're giving your money to, I feel like that's needed as well. So yeah.
So you mean like specifically like among the professors and the staff, like that's your main, that they should maybe have like a type of training or something, or some kind of like, you know, if there's a pandemic going on, be a little bit more flexible, be a little bit more, or understand the situation that's happening here, I get that. I totally get that. It's true. Some teachers, I will say, I noticed were a little bit more understanding of that fact than others, and they acknowledged, I know students are going through a hard time. So you know what? I'm going to waive this policy, or I'm going to lessen this penalty. And then others were like, nope, no, whatever it is, that's the way it is, I get it. I get where Lena's coming from. I completely understand. And I think it would help for there to be a better training in that sense, or yeah.
And one more thing, I do think it's a very fine line between being accommodating and allowing just anything to pass by. I did have a professor that didn't care if your assignment was late. And mentally, I was like, oh, he won't care. Oh, he won't care. It's okay. He won't care. And my assignment was 2 weeks late. And I just did not care. I don't know if it was like just personally. And it didn't bother him, but it didn't bother me. But I realized like I can't allow that, that's not a good mentality to have. So it's a fine line between being accommodating and just, being not a pushover, but I can't think of a better word right now. So but yeah, but I do think that, reaching out, saying, if your assignment is late, you have to have a meeting with me to, go over the assignment. Maybe we could finish it together. And that's not possible for all professors. Or you could say, if your assignment is late, you have to have a mandatory session at the tutoring center or something like that, something along the lines that is more helpful than hurtful. Because I think just, all the discipline and minus points, I think you're already in a pandemic and losing all of that credit and your grades are low. That's just very depressing.
Thank you guys for sharing. We do have a question from the audience. I'm going to pose it, and I may have to paraphrase a little bit. COVID-19 has had a lot of effects on many students. These effects cause stress and other serious problems. How can the university resolve those issues? The issues of stress. I'll deal with the issues of stress due to COVID. One thing I can say before I turn it over to the panelists, perhaps Rudy can jump in and start us off. Every college, to my understanding, has a counseling center, and they offer free sessions to every student. You just simply have to kind of contact your counseling center. I know at Kingsborough, we're located in D102. I can give you the phone number later. It's 718-368-5974 to the counseling center. So if you're dealing with stress and you need somebody to talk to, somebody who's impartial, a professional who can really kind of help you work through some of these issues, you can do that through the counseling center. But I'd love to hear some ideas from you guys, starting with Rudy, about how do you think the university can help students deal with the stress and effects of COVID-19?
I think that it's out of my fresh thoughts. I just started thinking about. I think that some outside Zoom meetings with the students, outside of class, outside the class times, it could helpful be like a meeting up and having the students to have an open discussion board, just to let them out what they're thinking about their first or second experience in the classrooms. That would be helpful. Just some sort of having some navigation towards the end of the semester, from the beginning, how we can fix what we are having and how we can help the students, let them students to express their feelings from the beginning, not expect the students to in the middle of the semester when it's the highest points of the quizzes, exams, midterms, essays, but from the beginning. That would be number one thing. Number two, encourage students to respond to their emails, to pick up the phone calls when college calls. A lot of students do not, sometimes students do not check their emails if it's not related to their class or not related to their job, but everything else send it to the spam. I will be more encouraging students to just to look it up. In terms of the school, it's very, very difficult question because we still have to navigate what technical tools we have to use for the students. So that's also in a progress. In terms of this, I mean, we are also learning in the process of the students and school learning how to be with each other in this pandemic time. Maybe some having sessions like assigned sessions, because if it's not required, sometimes students skipping, but making mandatory to meeting up with the professionals and express your feelings. That will give you some extra credits towards your classes. I don't know. I remember that in the tutorings they're doing that. When you go tutor session, that you're getting extra credit from your professor. I felt that if you have that extra credit from the going to the sessions and express your feelings, your stress with the professor, your class, I think that will be helpful just to make the students obligatorial that more. But again, we will put the students in a place or they're being stressed. Oh, I lost my credit. But it's like it's a slippery slope when it comes to because the school has to do it, right? create tools and events, but student has to take his or her or their responsibility to communicate and to attend. That's the really that's really difficult to, if the student has a problem with the Zoom, if the student that have a problem with the phone and phone batteries die, and he or she or they did not attend it on a meeting, what happened next? It's so much, it's so much. It's not depending on the school and the students anymore, but technology took so much on outside of the our power to just do anything. So the best version will be get as much as events as possible, get the students attend as the events, emails, phone calls, whatever is requires to track the students to that event, and let the students speak it up, their minds, their feelings, let them know we have all the resources they need, and we are here for them. And I think, I mean, I don't, I think with Kingsborough, we're doing that pretty well. We're doing that all 9 yards. How I know that? I'm taking part of that as admission advisor. I'm helping my students. I'm calling them, email them, until one the same email will be get response with any of it. Then we have a Zoom meeting. So you don't need to make appointment. You just walk in. Phone calls. It's really, really so that it's again technical availability has to be checked. Students' responsibility to attend events when he, she, or them or their could express themselves, and a school make sure the school has all these events set up. Beginning of the event, beginning of the semester, make sure we know where we are starting with, and in the middle where we are, and in the end how we end it. And that's where we will have at least database to collect and navigate towards next semester. So the more students will be participated, more students will be honest, the more school will be have event, the more data we will have to just for the stepping to the next semester to understand where we are and how we can help way better than we did in the previous. So that's kind of my opinion.
Thank you. Thank you. That was fantastic. I want to pose a question, and maybe Brandon can start us off, and then perhaps Lena. You know, is it possible to return to the old normal after this?
I'm not sure, honestly. It would be more pretending that things are normal than they're actually being a return to normal. The best thing we can do now is just adapt and make a new normal, I guess.
Well said.
Yeah, I would say I think my answer is straight up no. It's just not possible. Um, Everybody has a new outlook on life after this pandemic. Um, a lot of people have quit their jobs. A lot of the people have changed their lifestyles, have changed their paths in life because of this. And people now know their limits. And now that we know things that we can do that we never thought about before, um, like online classes and stuff like that, now that that's a possibility, um, you can't just ignore that. Like you can't just ignore that we're able to, do everything online. You can't just ignore, um, the changes that we made now. And so, yeah, I just think no. That's my short answer. No.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a really good question from the audience. And I'd like everybody to kind of answer this question. What entices the students? As administrators, we feel like we are doing everything we can and students don't engage or feel like everything is optional. Then they come at the end expecting miracles. How can students engage better? How would you like to be engaged better? Maybe we can start there. Speak personally. How would you like to be, interacted with from your university?
Hmm. Well, I mean, if I was to, I think it matters a lot how the professor uh, presents themselves to the students. You know, I think when a professor genuinely shows that they care about what you think and what your opinion is on something, and how they present that to you, because I found myself more receptive to certain professors than others. You know, some professors, they look like they have a wall up, and you can't get past that wall. You know, it's like okay, well, we're just here to do the school stuff, and that's it, folks. You know, and then other professors were like asking, so how do you feel about this? What do you think about this? If there's anything you want me to know, let me know. Like even right now, one of my professors has a discussion board where they ask us, the students, to give them ideas on how they can improve the class to make it better for them. And that to me shows that they care. That's an extra step that encourages me to think, oh, you know what, this professor really wants to know more about what I think. And it's not just about the academic stuff. It's not just about the grades, the numbers, and the letters. And they generally go out of their way to want to know my opinion. So I think it matters a lot how the professor presents themselves, how they say things, and how they communicate with the student in general. Some professors, like I said, they're very stern, and I get that personalities are personalities, but I remember in the beginning of the pandemic, I think I saw a picture of all the teachers in Kingsborough in a room learning how to do certain things on Blackboard. I believe there could be training sessions in that sense to also how to interact with students better and how to better communicate with a student to make them feel more like a community based environment where they can express themselves more freely without being judged or maybe or ostracized or anything. Especially now as things are getting crazier in the world around us. I think it helps to have that type of I don't know if we could say safe space. I don't know, in our colleges and in our classrooms. So yeah, this is what I'm saying.
Thank you. Anybody else like to join in?
Yes, I had to think for a second to think back to the classes that I was most enthusiastic about. Um, I've had a recent class where like a professor, we're in class and it's early in the morning, it's online, and he's like, no, good morning. I'm like, okay, good morning to you. Um, and I've had other ones where you log on to the Zoom and the teacher is playing music. What song would you guys like to play? I love this song. Do you want to see my dog? Do you want to see my cat? Um, and other ones are like, hey, Lena, as I enter the room, hi, Lena, how are you? How was your weekend? You're doing good? Or they start off a poll on Zoom. If you're thumbs up, thumbs down, good, bad, cool. What's wrong? You want to talk about it? You don't want to talk about it? Okay, cool. Let me know. And just starting off the class like that made me feel like energized. It made me feel like I wanted to participate because this is somebody I want to give my energy to. I don't want to give somebody my energy that I feel like, I don't know, that I'm just not feeling. It's a vibe thing. You just have to feel like you're welcomed. You have to feel like it's just a vibe. That's all I can really say.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So faculty and staff need to improve their vibe. I like that. I'm going to work on that, improving my vibe. We are down to a final few minutes. I want to give all of you an opportunity to kind of share any social medias or any projects that you're working on. If you're comfortable with that. I will say the Men's Resource Center is located in U218. We are right above the cafeteria. I am there every Tuesday and Thursday, from 9 to 5, earlier or later if needed. You're always welcome to contact us at my email, michael.rodriguez@kbcc.cuny.edu. You can also DM us on our Instagram, KCC_Men's Center. We check it constantly. We'd love to hear from you. Let me open it up to any students if you'd like to share any information about perhaps being a resource for another student or something. Let me start with Moses.
I mean, I work closely with the Men's Resource Center, as Doc knows, and basically, that's the resource I would recommend. If you can find something in your own college that can resemble that type of a community experience where you can go and talk with people, sit down with other students, and get help, that I would encourage it as well. And I've been with them throughout the whole pandemic, by the way. Okay, I've been logging in Zoom meetings with the Men's Resource Center throughout the whole pandemic, and it has helped me immensely. So I definitely echo that, what Doc has said. Definitely seek that out in your own colleges.
I'll go next. You can follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn. It's just Lina, last name Philizaire. You can message me through there. Also follow my club at BSU of CUNY to look at events, maybe that your school is hosting or that mine is hosting. You can DM me personally on there. I'm in charge of the Instagram page, so you can DM that. You can also email me at lena.philizaire@yahoo.com.
Rudy.
If you have any questions in regards of admission process, problem with the classes, or personal problem, all information you need in regards of the Kingsborough, or if you are a student at other school but you still need a help, please email me. My first name Rudolph, that my last name Muradov at kbcc.cuny.edu. I'm always open to help you, in regardless if you are our student or if you are a CUNY student. Generally, I'm always open to help you in every levels. Like just the seeing that if you need any help, please remember you're not alone. You just need to ask for help, and the help will become. You're not alone. We all in here together in this pandemic. So maybe we are separated. Maybe we're facing individually, but believe me, on this we all are together.
Thank you so much, Rudy. Brandon, would you like to share anything?
Oh, I don't have anything I can personally share, but I could definitely recommend the Men's Resource Center to any student at Kingsborough. They're a very great resource.
Thank you, guys. It's been phenomenal. I will say that every CUNY campus has a Black Male Initiative project. I strongly suggest you take time to seek them out. You can find out more information at cuny.edu / is it BMI?
That's right.
I think
That's right.
yes, Jorge. Yes, you can fill in the blanks, Jorge.
Thank you, Dr. Rod. Thank you, everybody. I want to help you close the panel by saying thank you. You did that, right? It was, the whole panel was a vibe. Let's put it that way. Thank you all. We're getting a few questions here towards at the end, and we won't get to answer them on air, but please look out for the conference recap, and we're gonna have the resources that were mentioned here, the resources that were mentioned in the previous panels yesterday. And as Dr. Rod said, every CUNY campus, and we even added 2 more this year, has a BMI project. You can either find that form on our Instagram. The link is on bio there, or you can browse our website, CUNY BMI, or cuny.edu / BMI, and you can find everything from there. I want to again thank you all for your time, for your insight. There were so many great things. The self-determination kicking in, that's something that not just students need to or have had to kind of put in gear. As administrators, we've had that, administrators and teachers. It's important that we acknowledge and check in with the students, as Lena mentioned, right? And so we thank you all for the time. We thank you all for the resources. And if there are any more questions, you can also email cunybmi@cuny.edu directly, and I'll respond to you guys. So with that, we'll close this panel out, and then we'll see you in about 15 minutes for the next panel. Have a good one.